Well, hello there, woman beings.
What's up?
Today, I, Kellyanne, have finally coerced.
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 No H.
Coerced.
Co-host.
My two goodest friends.
The goodest.
I
The
guess
goodest
if you
friends.
put two people into a hearse.
We're
that
a
coerce?
Yeah.
Coerce
Yeah.
them
We're
it.
Aw, if we died around the same time, could we all coerce?
to our graves.
We'd
Yeah.
probably have to talk to our spouses /
We
beneficiaries.
could put that in our wills.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if we happen to die around the same time,
In like
I would want
100
to
years.
coerce with you.
Yeah.
Aw.
That'd be sad and special. Have you guys thought about if you're going to be cremated or not?
I want to be a tree.
You want to be a tree?
100%.
Okay.
I want to be planted into a tree.
That's kind of a disgusting visual, but I think that's awesome
It's a real
for you.
thing.
Yeah, it is a thing.
I want to be donated to science.
Wow. Really? You
Yes.
want your your
Yes.
body. You want your body floating in a massive tub of formaldehyde with a bunch of other naked dead people?
Like, my body, to me, it just doesn't seem... I
That-
don't care.
They'll fish you out whenever.
Think about the lives that could be saved by a
Destiny.
med student learning how to
Dissect your
dissect a
body.
human.
See, I've thought about this. I feel like there's no shortage of bodies, really, donated to science. Why not
Really?
be an organ donor?
What are the
Well,
statistics?
you can't just decide. I mean, I would love to be an organ donor if the opportunity presents itself, but I don't know the way
Yeah.
in which I'm going to die. So it may not be.
Well, are you an
option.
organ donor? And
Yes,
you're,
I am
yeah,
an
I'm
organ
an
donor.
organ
You are?
donor too.
I don't think I am, actually, and I should probably fix that because I know a lot of people that have actually had organs donated, and it's saved their lives.
Wow.
So,
A lot of people. Wow.
Yeah.
well, okay.
I don't know a lot of people.
A lot of people, like, 4. So, like, I feel like that's a lot of
That
people.
is a lot. I don't
is.
know
I
anybody
know
who's received
zero,
an organ.
At least
so.
that have
Oh.
told me. I mean, maybe they have and
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's-
but
Okay. Well,
I know of a celebrity who's had an organ
But
donation.
so apparently, with dead bodies, Ross, you can donate your body to like a dead body farm where they specifically research how bodies
decay.
decay.
Wow.
And they use it for like all sorts of like crime related
Oh.
investigation purposes and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants.
See, I'm very sentimental as, like, a person. So if any of you die before me, this is going to be very hard for me. I'm just going to let you know.
You could come visit my tree.
I will. I could.
Yours is the least controversial, I feel like. of
Yeah.
all these, like,
yeah.
Are you going to be
What,
buried?
between you and me?
Are you
Because
saying you want to be cremated and then buried to like fuel a tree, or you want to be buried and then with the seed of a tree, or what does that mean?
Honestly, I don't remember how they do it, but there's like companies that do it. And so they either cremate you and turn you into fertilizer for the tree and they like plant the tree there, or they do something with your body, and then you are what nourishes the tree that they plant somewhere. And so that
Interesting.
is, I would rather them utilize my body for something than have it just sit in a box in the ground doing nothing.
Yeah, I definitely am like, don't pay for a casket. Like, that's the
It's like
dumbest.
so expensive for something to
shit
just go in
ever.
the ground.
We will place you in a fancy box and then we will put you in the ground. Like, no. Like,
Yeah.
no. Anyway. So,
That's off topic.
off topic.
What are we here today to talk
Today,
about?
I have finally talked Kelly and Emma into playing with me, Kelly Ann, the one and only We're Not Really Strangers game on a podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
Will we be friends after this still? I don't know. We'll see.
This might be the last episode
Well,
we
and
record.
I think before we start, we need to give them a little context for the first time we tried to play this, right? Because this has been attempted before.
We haven't attempted. We have played this before.
We have played this one
Play
time.
is a loose word. This is not really a game.
It's not a game. So the whole point is that you come curious and leave connected. So it literally
Is this an ad?
it literally says it on the box. Come curious, leave connected.
I believe you.
Yeah, it does say that.
So it's not really a game. There aren't really rules. The goal of the game is that you get connected on a deeper level. You literally get like 3 levels of cards, a little notepad, and 2 pencils. And you start pulling cards and answering them. So if you've ever been curious about playing We're Not Really Strangers, don't worry, we got you. We're going to show you what's up, and then you're going to get to witness the chaos or connection that ensues.
Yeah. So you're going to get a little insight into our inner worlds.
To our inner worlds. So with that very long intro, we're just going to dive right in. This is Woman Being,
where we explore thoughts and opinions
and have the freedom to change our minds
without expectation or judgment.
We will hold a safe space and support each other
as we navigate together in the form of feminine.
How was your last experience with playing We're Not Really Strangers?
Well, a lot of things came to the surface, I think, when we played this game.
Yes. This was like over a year ago, too.
Yeah. We all sort of walked away from it like,
Yeah, I remember there were lots of questions that made me feel very exposed. And I walked away feeling like a total asshole, basically, because I do value honesty. So then when confronted with questions that require very honest answers, I gave them. But my honest answers maybe aren't the nicest answers.
But I still love you.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're still here.
Clearly we made it through. But that is the thing, too. We're not really
strangers.
The strangers in the strangers.
Not every playing of the game We're Not Really Strangers results in that kind of thing, right? So I'm hoping for a more redeeming experience to the game.
Yes. So what do you think?
I'm apprehensive.
You're apprehensive.
Emma's planning on being an asshole.
I don't know. We'll see. If before this I was your favorite woman being, which I probably was, let's be honest.
It's already starting.
Then you might not think I'm your favorite after this. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think that's true. I feel like you're over-exaggerating.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But I love this kind of shit. So
Kellyanne is always the tell me about all the inner workings of your heart
what
person.
are your feelings?
Like every question that you hear us ask a guest that's like, but like, what about like you? Your soul.
Inner process.
Those are her questions.
Tell me about your healing journey.
Yes.
That is me. I love that shit. So we have established some ground rules. So we get exactly 1 pass
Each
for any question. So use your 1 pass wisely. But also, we can be more curious about the question. You don't just have to answer the question. You can open up some dialogue around that question.
Great.
Which is fun.
So how many questions, what's the format of this? What are we doing?
Great question. So we'll go through maybe 2 or 3 questions from each level and just progress up.
Okay.
All right.
Who wants to draw the first card?
And so the levels indicate intensity of question, essentially, right?
So level 1 is perception. So kind of addressing the way you perceive yourself, the way you perceive others is my understanding.
Okay.
Level 2 is connection, so connection focused. And level 3 is more reflection. We do have little weird pencils that come with this set, as well as a little pad. Well, you never know. Sometimes you have to draw pictures. I actually discovered that my husband is a rather decent artist, and it's kind of annoying.
How dare he? How dare he have skills and talents?
I didn't know. He's
world.
the person that's I'm not creative. And then he drew this side profile of me. And I was like, okay. Versus me, I'm I can't draw. Actually. So anyway, we will not know what the cards will direct us to do yet. So who wants to draw the first one?
I think you should.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Drawing the first card.
So nervous.
I actually have butterflies.
Card 1 has been drawn. What do you think I am most likely to splurge on?
Okay, that's easy kind of stuff. You're going to splurge on crystals and
Water.
plants.
Yes.
She likes
Oh yeah,
fancy
she
water.
buys fancy water,
do
like
love
in like a
fancy water.
glass bottle, distilled from the mountains of Sweden or something.
Alkalized.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like you would splurge on things for your kittens.
Yes.
You'd splurge on safety
Oh yeah,
stuff.
A
Whether it's
taser, a bat, one of those like giant flashlights that you're meant to hit people with as well,
but also
like,
shine in their eyes.
She would
Yeah.
100%.
She has that shit.
Pepper spray.
Yeah.
She would
Bear
buy
spray.
top of the line,
And then she would
Yes.
buy it for her friends and make them
have them use it
yeah.
as well.
Yes.
That's true. Those are all very, very true.
Yeah, those are I think that's a pretty good list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good list.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Emma, I think you would splurge on like good food.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
anytime we like go out, like Emma's like, I'm gonna buy food, I'm gonna get all this good stuff. And like I actually really appreciate that. I actually love that.
You would splurge on a vacay or a road trip
Yeah, always a
100%.
trip, always traveling.
or a day trip or
Yeah.
any sort of trip.
Yes.
You would splurge on that.
Any
Or
trip.
you splurge on something when it's like something that's used that you need. You like
Yeah.
don't really care how it feels like, how much it costs because you know you need it.
Right.
And it's already used, so you're already recycling it.
Right.
Yeah, I like to get things secondhand, but I'll still splurge even if it's
She like
secondhand.
splurges secondhand almost.
Yeah.
But she's like, I want this specific type of vegan shoe
Yeah.
Yes.
that is going to be X amount of dollars. Doesn't matter if you could get cheaper shoes anywhere else. She wants that shoe.
Yeah.
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 Once you decide you want something, you want it.
Yes,
That is it.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Those are
You're pretty
all
minimalist
accurate.
though overall.
You
You're
are,
not really a
yeah.
splurger.
I'm like,
in
you
general.
I
have like
splurge more on experiences than
Yes.
like items.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelly, you would splurge on gym equipment. You would splurge on skincare. You also splurge on your cat.
Yeah, you would splurge
You
on your
love
cat.
him.
You got him all those little like smelly balls.
You got him that
the
special
other day.
tunnel thing.
Yeah.
What else? You're also really practical.
You
So
are.
like you're like, I want these fancy glasses that I will use every day. Or I want this special filter thing that goes in my washer. Like you're like very like householdy splurges. But you're also very calculated about them. So
You sound like she's
you
a villain.
don't splurge on something you haven't thought about for like a while.
That's true for the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the word splurge often is associated with like impulse buying.
Yeah.
But you're not really necessarily impulse
all
buying
of
the
us,
splurges.
I am the most impulse shopper.
Yes.
Yes,
You're the most
100%.
impulsive shopper out of
Yeah,
all of us. For sure.
but you
Yeah.
guys are both very like
If
calculated.
I feel like if I impulse shop, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get myself like I'm gonna add avocado to my burger or something like that. Like that to me
Like,
feels like splurging.
oh, I'm gonna get this silk shirt from the thrift store.
It's like the little things that I splurge.
Yeah.
But yeah, skincare for sure. I've paid a lot of money on skincare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meat. You splurge on meat. You buy
Oh yeah, you get it from
buy
the butcher.
good meat.
And yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, most of the meat I buy is like pretty good prices, but occasionally I do like to go for the fancy green grass. But we eat a lot of steak though too, so yeah, that's fair. That's super fair. We spend a lot of money on meat.
Yeah. Makes sense. If you saw her husband, you'd be like, yeah, that guy eats a lot of meat.
Oh man.
All right.
All right.
Who's
Okay.
drawing the
Ooh,
next
that one
card?
wasn't so bad.
That wasn't too bad. I'll do the next one.
Okay.
Okay, level 1.
Gosh.
Level 1.
Oh wait, should we get some card ASMR?
Bum, bum.
Did you guys like that?
If you want more of that kind of
Is
content,
that
follow us
what
on
you want from
TikTok,
us?
maybe.
ASMR? Okay. Are you ready? What do you think is the hardest part of what I do for a living?
That's rough.
You're obviously really good at what you do, but I think what happened, like freelancing, is through connections. So like finding connections, but then also the connections that are like, oh, I'm willing to pay you like decent money for your work versus like, hey, could you like do me a favor? And it's like, I'd love to do you a favor. Why don't you do me a favor too and pay me decently?
Okay.
I feel that way though for any freelance.
yeah.
anything, like
that's a
photography,
general difficulty of
videography.
being in the freelance world.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, this may be a little bit more general, but I feel like one of the hardest things for you has been striking the balance between going after what you want and doing what's available. And so I feel like you have a hard time heading in the direction that you want to go, or maybe even sometimes seeing the direction that you want to go, because there's so many possibilities.
Sure.
And you sometimes get held back by all the possibilities rather than just going after something you want.
Yeah. That's fair.
Also, the balance between doing something stylistically well and appeasing the client. That's probably like
That's always hard.
so
That is
hard.
hard.
Like, they're like, no, but I want it exactly like this. And you're like, well, here's the 87 reasons why I don't think you should do that. But if you really want it, I will do it.
Yeah. I think the hardest part for Kelly Ann in your job is trying to really like communicate to others what it is that you do, you know, like because it seems like you work in like product sort of development and you are curating products and I feel like it's difficult to communicate to like other departments or other people in general, like this is what I do and like this is how you can help me. And it seems like it's not something people are used to having to deal with. So
Yeah, and I would add to that, you have a very specialized set of experience that a lot of people are not aware of. And so a big part of your job is actually educating the people that you work with about what it is that they need and what it is that they need to be thinking about and why it's important. And I feel like you could run at the speed of light if people just got that stuff. But I feel like that sort of like slogs you down quite a bit, having to sort of be like, whoa, let me explain this process to you because you clearly don't understand.
yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah. Because a lot of people just don't know in general, like what it takes to actually build a product and the timelines and, you know, processes that go with that and sourcing. And it's like, yes, the spot UV treatment is not the same as a gold printing treatment, which is not the same as a gold foiling treatment.
Over my head.
I'm like, wow.
Like, I speak a different language.
Yes.
You should listen to my mentor, though. When she talks, it's like a different language from what I talk. Like,
man.
I even have to try to translate her. But she's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think, Kelly, I feel like one of the hardest things for you is, I mean, and you're kind of in the process of moving into some different responsibilities, but like there's so much, like there's some slow weeks and some fast weeks, and like you kind of have to figure out how to pace the team really well and keep morale high so that productivity continues to push out. And that feels like that would be probably really challenging with ever-changing waters, if you will. And then also like how to effectively maximize time when it's like you have a lot of it and when you have none of it. Like there's kind of that constant assessment, it feels like. You pivot constantly, which is like, like that's great. Love pivoting. I am not a natural pivoter, but you like just pivot and pivot.
She's just on a rotating
Call me a lazy Susan.
rotator.
Fast-paced Susan.
Fast-paced Susan. Yeah, I think in a similar vein, I would say that I perceive the hardest part of your job, Kelly, is like sort of, it seems like sort of inconsistency of pace, which is, you're saying, like sort of fast and like something's immediate priority and then something is like absolute, like, whatever, do it whenever, or like things like that. But like those times when it is fast paced, it's like very high pressure, it seems like. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure in your job. That's
Interesting. I don't know if I would have expected that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah. I also think that we all have some degree of feeling like there's difficulty in our jobs because of our gender and feeling like and maybe I am speaking for all of us, so correct me if I'm wrong, but just feeling like we strive to be taken seriously, like we strive to be considered and to be like, you know, brought into the rooms that we want to be part of.
Totally.
And it feels like often being a woman is not necessarily a benefit in that.
Yes. Right. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that.
I feel like more often than not, you see a lot of incompetent men in positions of power who get away with it. And you see a lot of women busting their asses and not getting recognized for it. Like, that's sort of a general truth that I have seen anecdotally in my life.
Yeah.
But
I would say that's a pretty fair assessment.
yeah, like there's a lot of
Agreed.
guys who like fuck stuff up and, you know, like we've had other podcasts about this. Like there's some guys who royally fuck some stuff up.
Yeah.
And it's usually the victim of sexual assault who leaves the company, not the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as the guy's in good standing with whoever's in charge and gets, bruised with the bros, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Again, that is not speaking of any workplace that we currently work at now, but is speaking to trends that I've seen in my career as a whole.
Yeah. General
And in
workplace.
other people's careers. So
Yeah.
that's very general.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an interesting one and a very Kelly one.
Very you?
Yes.
Ooh.
What compliment do you think I hear the most?
Oh.
Kelly loves being complimented. She's a words of affirmation gal.
Yes.
It's true.
So she's going to love this. What is it? What compliment do we think that you hear the most?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
I mean, a handful, but they're all directly correlated to your looks.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
you're so
I feel like, yes,
tall.
the height, I feel like you probably
Your
get
hair's
complimented
so
on your
pretty.
height and your hair.
You should be a model.
Silky hair.
You're so pretty.
And like great height. I feel like you also get a lot of compliments for like essentially like being someone who's willing to like get shit done.
Yeah, work ethic, for sure.
Is that fair? Those ones that you get a lot?
Yeah, those are, generally. I don't think I've ever thought of height as a compliment per se. It's definitely a comment that
There's
I get
probably,
a lot.
honestly, it's probably more comments on your height than
for sure.
compliments because women aren't often praised for being super tall.
Right.
It's more like they're noticed for being super tall.
Yes.
That's good for me as a short person to note because I always think of it like, wow, they're tall, like amazing,
No, it's
like
often like-
congratulations.
I feel like it's often like, wow, you're tall. You know?
yeah.
Not like, wow, you're tall.
I
do you
say
see
it
the
in like
difference?
admiration.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
like,
thank
I
you.
love it. I
what
mean,
is that like?
I mean, I enjoy being tall now, but
Yeah.
usually it's like, you're just a tall gal, huh? You know, it's not like,
You're
wow,
a Minnesota gal.
I love how
so
tall you are. I wish I was tall. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't really get that as much.
Yeah. But I could see it in, I feel like it's only really ever complimentary when it's in the frame of like, oh, you should be a model. You're so tall. You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like, oh, good looks paired with tallness. You
Yeah.
must be
Model.
model
You must want to
material.
model.
Yeah.
Period.
okay.
Emma,
I feel like you both turned towards me at the same time to turn on me.
I think you get complimented a ton for how cool you are. Like your style. You are the cool girl that like has the awesome fancy glass straw that's reusable that you bring with you everywhere. You always are dressing awesome. You always look like you've done your hair, which I never look like I've done my hair. Your hair always looks good, by the way. You're always styling it. And then your creativity. You're just like the creative cool girl that's like, I want to be friends with her.
Yeah, I was going to say unique creativity and uniqueness. And I would say you probably get compliments on your, like, adventurousness.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
You're a
I feel
wild
like
child.
People don't compliment that necessarily. I don't know. I get hair compliments. Like, I'm trying to think, especially things from like strangers. I'll get hair or like fashion compliments. But I guess from strangers, they don't really know what you do.
And then another one for sure is, like, your mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Also, your sexy voice.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
yes.
Ever since
Emma
the
does
podcast
get
started.
a lot of compliments on her sexy voice.
Yeah, but
as she should.
only since the podcast started, people are like, wow. And I was like, I thought my voice sounded really bad. I had no idea.
But honestly, I don't think there's anything creatively you can't do. Like, to be honest, like,
Well, thank you.
you have a wide range of talents and giftings, which is like, how does she do it all? I don't know.
I don't know either. No. Don't know what all I'm doing.
Kellyanne. Wait, first of all, does that feel Do we
For
miss
the most
anything?
part, I feel like, some of them I feel like are things that you guys maybe just notice. And some things are things that, like, I actually do get complimented about a lot, you know? Like, I feel like people compliment my hair because it's red and, like, curly, and so it's, like, a little bit more unique. And so people are like, oh. Or with fashion, I tend to go a little bit out of the box. I mean, not that much, really, but I feel like people, like, will take notice of that kind of thing. And I've always been very into fashion. So I was part of fashion club in high school. And you had to be asked to be part of it.
Oh my gosh.
So we did a photo shoot. It was in the yearbook, whatever. Anyways, Kelly Ann.
Okay, so this is an obscure one, but you definitely get compliments on your vintage finds from the thrift store.
That's what I was going to say. She
you.
gets lots of, like, vintage, unique pieces of clothes, which is what I feel like. Like, I feel like you're more of a, like, expressive dresser than I am, even, which is, like, when I think about it in comparison, you know? And I also feel like you probably get lots of compliments on your eyes because they're so blue and so, like, big and beautiful. And
Thank you.
so I
You have
imagine.
lovely skin.
Oh, yes.
And if people
She
don't
is
compliment that all the
glowing.
time, they're wrong.
The best skin of the three of us, honestly.
What?
I'm sorry, but
Super
you just
skin.
do. Yeah.
She has,
And
like,
so-
soft little baby skin. She looks like she's
I was
17.
literally admiring her skin when we were recording a different episode earlier today. And I was just like, she just looks so youthful.
Right.
So fresh-faced.
Wow, guys.
And then the elephant in the room, obviously, is your bootay.
Badonky-donk.
She has an amazing butt.
She does.
You know, it is shocking the amount of people that feel the freedom to walk up to me and compliment my butt. Which is
Dang.
like, thank you, yes, that is very kind of you. Like, no
also,
one
like-
means it super, like, gross or creepy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, it's literally my genetics, and I try to work out once in a while, so the end.
Yeah. Nice.
But,
So.
wow, you guys are so kind.
Aw,
You guys are so
compliments.
I love it.
All right, so now
Level
we're
2?
going into level 2, which is connection, right?
Connection.
Connection.
Card is drawn.
I'm getting nervous now. The first ones are kind of like surface level, so I just...
Do you think the image you have of yourself matches the image people see you as? This is a good question.
Is this an introspective question?
Yeah.
I do not think that my image of myself matches what other people see. Like, not in the
What do you
slightest.
think is the difference?
I mean, I think of myself as very nerdy, very introverted. Like, I literally, like, the fact that you guys just, like, went on and on about my skin. Like, I literally don't think my skin looks that good right now. Like, so I just don't.
Have you seen my skin? Like, do you know,
You've
do you know
got
what other people's
beautiful
skins
skin.
look like?
You both have beautiful skin, but like I think just overall the way I like perceive myself and the way others perceive me just does not match. Which is a good thing to be aware of. It's something I'm trying to like kind of work through.
Well, I can for sure see, like, you are a very, you're a learner and you love input and to input lots of different things, and you're a big super fan of lots of different things. And I feel like the average surface level person doesn't necessarily see
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like because I feel like you probably get stereotyped a lot because you're like just physically like you're like smaller and like you're like cute, and so people go, oh, like she's such
Which
a
this is kind of
awful,
person.
but like, oh,
Yeah.
she probably doesn't have that much going on
No,
up there, like,
totally.
you know, which is like our society values looks over intelligence, and they make a perception based off of how you look
Totally.
on
No,
what your intelligence is.
That's a pretty consistent first impression thing I get is like, oh, I didn't think you'd be this smart. Like when I met you, and I was like, it's kind of like, ouch.
yeah.
You don't perceive me as intelligent at first, but then also like I think that comes with time. Like almost anything interesting I have to say is I read an article, watched a documentary, or you know, saw something, some news clip or something. Like that's all the interesting things I have to say. Like or listen to a podcast.
And I know a lot of people usually initially type you as very sweet and like kind and whatever, but you're actually quite You can be quite
Cutthroat.
prickly and cutthroat.
That is true.
But, like, that doesn't mean that you're not also sweet and kind. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think people
Yeah.
are surprised by the bite.
It does make it easier when people perceive you as cute and sweet and, like, not that smart. It makes it pretty easy to sneak in some, like, harsher things, actually.
Because they
Just,
don't
like,
they don't
they
take
expect
it as
it. You just slip it in. And they're
Yeah.
just like, whoa, where'd that come from? And you're like, yeah.
yeah.
This is a hard question for me in particular because I think my whole life goal is about creating an image that I want people to see. I mean, like, to dumb it down to simple terms, but, like, as a 3 on the Enneagram, to me it's all about projecting whatever image it is that I expect is expected of me. So, like, yes and no. Because there are a lot of things about me. Like, nobody expects me to know anything about Doctor Who or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or, like, other fandoms. So they don't know that nerdy side of me. But I think generally people meet me and they go, okay, she's competent, she's intelligent, she, you know, fairly athletic, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe my dorky, nerdy side doesn't get quite as much of the
No.
limelight.
No.
I don't
it
think
like
so.
you slowly unravel
You
it
just sort of-
as you
it
get to
leaks
know
out,
you.
yeah.
But I don't think that that's people's impression of you.
Right.
One of my favorite many sides of you is the nerdy side.
I was
Yeah.
always a nerd.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know it's hard.
It's a hard question to answer. I feel like I often feel misunderstood.
Sure.
But I also feel like I am also constantly trying to like display who I am, maybe to also somewhat combat the misunderstanding, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But I do feel like people's first impressions of me are often that I'm like shy and quiet and don't really have that much to say when I'm actually kind of the exact opposite, it feels
Right.
like. So I think in like new situations, I'm often perceived very differently from how I am in situations where I feel more comfortable
Right.
or like have, just opened up a little bit more. So one thing that really frustrates me is I often get, when I go into a new circumstance, like a new job or something, or a new group of people that I'm spending time with, someone who is like sort of like a leader in that group or a boss or whatever will often comment on how much I've grown in the time that I've been there because I have opened up in like being a little less, shy or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is who I always was. I didn't present that initially because
Right.
I was like still figuring out what this
Environment is,
environment is
yeah.
like.
Yeah,
and
totally.
so I received that where they're like, oh, we're so proud of you that you've like, that you like started speaking up for yourself and all this stuff. And I'm like, I speak up for myself all the time.
That's like
I
the
don't.
worst compliment feedback thing.
I'm so happy to see how you've grown. It's like, no, you just haven't seen me yet.
Yeah,
You know?
totally.
I'm like, I just like, yeah. And so I think that's one thing that frustrates me in feeling like I'm not perceived the way that I feel that I really am.
Right.
And maybe, I think it just takes me a minute to warm up to people oftentimes.
One thing I've noticed too that was interesting is I've heard this a lot, like throughout my life, that when people first meet me, they find me very intimidating, and they think that I'm like mean or that I am very dominant. But then as they get to know me, they're like, oh, she's not.
She's so nice.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she's very nice. And so for whatever reason, I think it is a similar case when I am first in an environment, I'm a little shyer. I don't feel as confident.
Right.
And so maybe I just like put out a more bristly image or something like that. Or I don't know. I don't seem as goofy and relatable. I don't know. But I think I can be intimidating once you get to know me too. But I don't think it's like generally people's like perception of me that know me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. I mean, it's interesting too to hear all that feedback from you, Emma, of like I don't think I ever thought you were shy or like quiet. And then also
I
like
did, but I worked with her.
the idea
Yeah.
that you are like intimidating. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I've heard that from people too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she's kind of intimidating. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like the nicest person. Just go talk to her. Like, but I'm also the person like in new social situations. Like I'm kind of the opposite of both of you. Like I will like show up and like own that space, but it's because it's like almost like its own self-defense mechanism.
It's like your other version of that.
Yeah. It's just the opposite.
Yeah.
And then once I like get comfortable, I'll like pull back and be like, okay, I can relax.
Yeah. I will say that if I'm in a new social situation with people that I do feel comfortable with, then I don't default to that. You know, like if I were to go somewhere new, like with you guys, then I'm not going to necessarily default to like being really reserved or shy or whatever. But when I'm on my own, it's more prominent. Anyways, let's go to another one.
That's a good question.
That's like a rhyme.
Answer that question.
Level 2, connection. What would your younger self not believe about your life today?
Well, that I live in California, that I married a mixed man, that I no longer regularly attend church, that I'm in a business setting. I never really thought that I would be like, for some reason, never thought I'd work in an office. And many other things. But yeah, it just isn't the direction I thought my life would take at all.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
I mean, I guess it does depend on how young we're talking here.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, what do you mean I'm not a princess?
Sure.
I think I'd be surprised to learn that I got married at 18, and I'm still married,
Yeah, happily.
happily. I think I'd be really shocked at the direction and ways in which my faith has changed and deconstructed and reconstructed in certain ways. I think I'd be very shocked by a lot of my political leanings now
Yeah.
and social
That's a good
leanings. And other than that, though, I feel like pretty much as expected.
one.
But I've always sort of been that way.
Wow. That's interesting. Because I'm like, yeah, like you said, political and social leanings. Yeah. Definitely wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, and that would be probably pretty devastating to young me right now.
Yeah.
Where I'm at.
Same. Yeah.
You know?
I'd be heartbroken.
Yeah,
Like, I'd be like, somehow I failed.
right.
Honestly, I'm having a very hard time trying to think of anything that would surprise my young self
That's okay.
about me. Like, I think about who I was as, like, a child or, like, a preteen, and I always thought that I would be in a creative field. There were various different things that I wanted to pursue at different times. Like, for a while, I wanted to be an actress, and then for a while, I wanted to be a singer, and for a while, I wanted to be a chef, and, like, there were these different, and then it went to photography, and now I'm in, like, photo video realm, so that's not that surprising to me. And I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to live in different places. I've done those things. My political leanings or religious beliefs have always been pretty fluid overall and have like always been changing. Although my political beliefs have gotten more liberal as I've gotten older. But I mean, I was basically like, I was pretty into communism as a middle schooler. So to be honest, like I remember we learned about like world government and we learned about communism and I was like, that sounds great. And so now I'm like, democratic socialism, pretty good. So I feel like it makes sense. In fact, I would say that where I am now is more aligned with who I was as a young person kind of before I really got indoctrinated into Christianity. And then when I became a Christian, I feel like there was a lot of feeling like I needed to sort of conform to a specific way of being as like a Christian. But that kind of like was pretty brief. That was only for like a couple years. And then I was kind of like, oh no, I think I can still be a Christian and also be all these other things. And so it wasn't really, I feel like I maybe departed from who I thought I was for a while, like in, late high school, but now I'm more in line with my like child self. So I don't know.
It'd be super fascinating to have a conversation with like a 16-year-old you. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd be so interested in what
I would find her
she would
so
say.
annoying.
I'd be like,
Oh yeah, she was
babe.
annoying.
Oh, babe. Be like, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay.
But yeah, I was very, very idealistic.
Yeah.
And maybe I still am, but like in a more edged, angry way now, But I definitely grew up with the sort of perception that there's a way things should be and you can achieve that if you follow the right steps. And now I think I still hold sort of like, this isn't the way things ought to be, but in maybe a less optimistic fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think back on, like, what I thought a good person was and what a good person should be, and how I have, like, in my, like, younger self's terms, like, failed in, like, all of those respects. And it's actually, like, but it was actually my perception of what good is and what, like, whole is that, like, wasn't real and true. And so it's like, it's interesting to think about that.
I do think that my younger self thought that I would be famous by now.
Oh, my younger self
hoped.
totally thought I would be famous.
I don't know if I thought, but I hoped.
Oh,
I thought.
I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. You're welcome. Like, I was like...
I thought I was going to be on Food Network.
Yeah.
Or that I was going to be, I was going to have, like, an album out by now. Like, something.
Totally.
Wow.
Was going to be, I think that's one thing that I, as a young person, thought. For sure.
Yeah.
But
we're podcast famous, guys.
Yeah.
Are we? Let us know, woman beings. Are we? Leave a review and tell us. Are we podcast
famous? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Podcast famous for like our 300 subscribers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't actually know the number, but it's not
Nobody
big, it's
does.
not a big number. Okay, so that was fun.
Now we have to go into level 3.
Bum, bum, bum.
Level 3.
Wow.
3.
Whoa. Okay, the first card of level 3 has been drawn.
Oh no.
Wait, what's the category of level 3? Connected?
Reflection. I feel like we were very reflective in the last questions.
Don't make that face. What does it mean?
What about me is the hardest for you to understand?
Don't put it away. I feel like I need a visual of them.
Okay.
What about me is the hardest for you to understand?
This is nerve-wracking.
This is where friendships die. Right here is in questions like this.
Okay, I got it.
Because as a one, I have a deep desire to be understood. So this is great.
So. Okay. Here it is. There are certain things that will trigger you or kind of cause you to sort of feel anxious, I think. And while I understand on an intellectual level your thought process, there are sometimes times where you will back out of something or get overwhelmed by things, and I don't understand. But as somebody who leans toward pushing through and not acknowledging my emotions or feelings about things until it's done, I can also respect the fact that you'd be like, no, that's too much for me. I'm going to sit out. But I do have a hard time understanding it sometimes.
Super fair. Like how when Ross gets a headache.
What?
Like he'll just be like, I don't feel good. I don't want to go.
Yeah, Ross will be like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, what do you mean?
I get a headache. I got a headache.
Yeah,
Fair.
just like that.
I feel like I sympathize with that not understanding of I think myself as someone who often does not turn things down unless I literally cannot because there is something else happening. I don't understand like the idea behind. I feel like maybe you often will spend time like you're like, well, I just need to like rest or like I need to like step back or whatever. This is like too many things all at once, and I'm like, what do you mean? So I feel like that's hard for me to understand. It's also hard for me to understand how you manage to buy so many clothes and like stay sane. Like it just doesn't add up for me. But I think that's more of a me thing than a you thing because a lot of people buy a lot of clothes.
But like to illustrate the difference between Kellyanne and Emma, per se, we had a group get together scheduled at one point. Kellyanne left us voicemail and said, "Hey guys, I have like barely a stuffy nose and like my throat is like a little dry and I don't and I think I'm just gonna bow out for tonight because I just don't feel great." Emma, in that same conversation, goes, "Hey guys, I was puking and had explosive diarrhea all night and I haven't slept a wink. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it tonight, but I'll let you know."
Yeah, that is accurate. Yeah, I'm the type that's like, I'll just push through it. I'll probably be fine. And Kellyanne is like, no.
So backstory. I was more concerned for COVID.
But also,
that's interesting that that's like the thing because about, I would say 50% of the time I do push through. And the other 50%.
50 is a big percent to not push through, I think.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That feels interesting. Because to me, when I'm like, quote unquote, pushing through, I don't have FOMO. Just real
that's
quick.
another thing I don't understand.
I do not give a shit. Like, I will catch you next time. Bye. Like, doesn't bother me. We have plenty of memories to be made and inside jokes. Like, I am, like, not bothered. I don't understand, really, FOMO. Unless it's something I've always wanted to do, like an escape room or see Tom Segura. Like, that is different. But, like, in general, in life, I feel like in the past, I've tended to really push through, like, all the time. Like, I am there. I don't cancel shit. Like, I show up. It's really only been in the past few years that I've started to, like, decide not to push through. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I think I've said this to you or maybe wrote this to you before. I do really value the fact that you prioritize yourself over missing out on something or, a social situation that isn't necessarily adding value. And there's many times when I will, out of obligation or out of FOMO or whatever, just go to something that I don't want to go to and push myself beyond my capacity. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's always like a little bit hard to swallow sometimes when you're like, I'm not going to make it. But I also like value it as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I know what it's like to not have anything to give. And so I guard that very closely because when I was at my absolute worst mental health wise, it's like it didn't matter how much I slept or how well I took care of myself. I had nothing to give. And so most of the time it is because it's like, actually, I want to have something to give you because I love you. And that's most of the time my reasoning. So.
Who's next?
Who's next?
I don't know. You both were
Okay,
staring
Emma.
at me. I looked up.
I don't understand how few clothes you have. I understand
You're just reversing mine.
No, I'm dead serious. That's what came to mind. I'm like, I don't know how you have like 4 pairs of pants and survive. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's amazing that is your value. I think I worry about you sometimes because I'm like, but I just want her to have enough. But then it's like, that's not my job, and she's a big girl and she's got this.
But I do have enough.
Yeah.
In fact, historically, people have operated with less clothes than I
when
have.
there was like nothing to have. Back when it was like,
people
I just need
still
a fire
do.
and a teepee.
People, no, even when people had, log cabins and that sort of like
You had like
pilgrims.
2
and-
outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's what you should have.
Doesn't mean it's what I shouldn't have.
Doesn't mean it's what she has. She has a lot more than
Yeah,
that.
she
I
has
have a
more
lot
than
more
that.
than I feel like I have too many clothes.
Oh my God.
Genuinely.
Okay. I just worry about you. Like,
Kelly!
I don't know. I just worry about you.
I don't know. Why would you? I could get
don't- I
more
don't
clothes
know.
if I
I
wanted.
know you
on your
could.
face about how many clothes
I know
you
you-
have.
I think another thing, I don't understand how much energy you have. Like,
Same.
because, like, Emma's the kind of person that'll roll in and be like, I slept for 5.5 hours last night and I felt great. And I'm like, I would be dying if I slept for 5.5 hours last night. Like, I would.
5.5 is a pretty good number. So I thought you were going to say lower number.
I was tempted to say 4, but then I was like, I'll be gracious.
Okay.
But yeah, I like the fact that you squeeze so much into your day and sleep so little, like, baffles me.
Emma is like the steam engine train that just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And sometimes I'm like, when do you stop?
She doesn't.
Like, we record all day on a Saturday, and then the next day we chat with Emma, and we're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, I did all these other things this weekend, too. And we're like,
What?
wow.
When?
I don't know.
She's like, yeah, I went to the rock gym like 4 times.
Oh
and,
my word.
like,
No,
played my guitar and wrote 8 new songs.
that's not true. This is very over exaggerative now. Yeah.
As is you saying that you have too many clothes.
Yes.
But it's really just all about your definition of too many. That's a very subjective phrase,
Yes,
So,
I do know.
Kelly, one thing that I have a hard time understanding about you is how you communicate.
Okay.
I have a hard time knowing if you genuinely mean something or if I need to like read further into it. And I often struggle with trying to think like, am I supposed to perceive more from this or not? Because I'm not very practiced in perceiving more, but I feel like at times you want me to perceive more, or I'm supposed to get something more than you're saying. And so I have a hard time understanding that about like how you operate and knowing like what the subtext is. So
I operate like, I live a life of subtext.
I'm the opposite. I live a life of bold text on the page.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, actually, when you text, it's like so detailed and like thorough. I'm like, I don't know how she has the brain space to type this much out. I'm like,
I have to make sure people know what I'm saying.
yes. I'm just like, thumbs up. I got it. I'm here for it. That's my move. I thumbs up into text.
But do you feel, though, that I am saying things I don't mean? Or in what way?
Here's the thing. As I've gotten to know you more, I feel worried that you're saying things you don't mean because I know that you communicate so much in subtext. So then I get into just like a mind trip of trying to figure out if I'm supposed to be getting more than I am from what you're saying because I know that you often communicate in that way, and I have a very hard time perceiving it. And so I'm like, I sometimes feel a little crippled by it. But
so that's so interesting because, I mean, like, I think I perceive the world in subtext, but I genuinely try to communicate the opposite. Like, I'm trying to be as plain as possible. This is what I mean, and this is what I'm saying, and you know what it is. Yeah. But I will interpret what other people say in subtext, but I don't necessarily speak in subtext, I don't think. Or I don't try to.
I feel like I often have to ask clarifying questions about what you mean about things because I'm not sure what the subtext is.
See, that's what I don't understand about you.
Yeah. This is something we don't understand about each other, for sure. And I think...
The train went to the station. And you're like, what do you mean by train?
Okay.
What is the train?
That makes it sound like I'm an idiot.
No.
No.
It's fascinating to watch, guys. I just sit there and watch them.
No, it's not surprising to me that this is what you brought up.
Yeah.
Because it definitely has been sort of like a missed signals point for both of us.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had mixed signals with other people in similar contexts before, and also feeling like people want me to read into things, and I feel like just so overwhelmed with the attempt at trying to read into the things because I've been so, it's been so ingrained in me to like not make assumptions and to just take people at their word for what they say. And so then the idea of having to like guess, it's like, that's insane. And so that's where I come from in that. But anyway, it's not about me. This is about you.
No. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, again, I feel like a lot of people have given me feedback that I speak what I think and I don't hold back.
I think you do that in certain contexts, but not in all contexts.
Okay. Interesting.
So I also will say about both of you, when it comes to trying to schedule things, I do not understand how you guys operate.
Really?
Because it tends to feel like I'm trying to get direct questions answered and I'm getting more questions or very vague answers and options back.
Oh.
So, which we've talked about this before, like how if I'm giving you options, it's because I don't care between those options.
Oh, yes.
But then you guys are like, well, whatever you want. I'm like, no, I gave you options.
Yes.
Pick between them.
Yes.
And we'll go.
I'm bad at this because I will give you options out of, in general, whoever applies to you, I will give options, but I have an optimal option that I've already worked out in my brain. But
this is the kind of subtext crap that just screws with my head.
But I am considering you out of kindness because I want to take your opinion into consideration because you equally are applied to this situation, but also I know what's right, so.
I can like feel anxiety welling up in me thinking about people doing stuff like that. Ooh, it's okay.
Something, Kelly, about you I do not understand sometimes is the way you choose to handle yourself in certain relationships. And I understand that I am not in those situations or in those relationships and do not understand those dynamics. And so I can't speak to those things. But sometimes I'm like, well, I would punch that person in the face. And you're very kind, and I love that about you because you're kind to me too, which obviously is a great benefit. But sometimes it's hard for me to like wrap my head around. As a friend, I am a very fierce advocate for my friends. I'm like, fuck them, piece of shit. But that's how I tend to be with all my people.
See, that is feedback I've heard before, specifically from my husband. He's like, why are you giving this person the time of day or whatever? And to answer that, I don't know. I think because people pleasing has been ingrained in me my entire life, and that is what I know how to do. And I desperately need everybody to like me, even if I don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I have slowly been learning as an adult how to not pander to the needs of people who don't care about me. But there are certain relationships, as you guys know, that are sometimes harder to just dismiss.
Sure.
So I don't know the answer to that. I mean,
I
there's
don't
no
think there is
there's no
one.
answer, I
Yeah.
guess, but
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. But it's because I love you. It's because I love you both. Emma, I want you to have enough things. Kelly, I want you to be treated fairly. And, you know, that's just it.
Having
Yeah.
more things stresses me out.
I could say, Emma, I don't want you to feel that I am giving you honey and it's laced with,
Cyanide.
I think
Cyanide,
here's what my it just messes with my head so much. Knowing that you read into subtext of like that's how you're interpreting a lot of the world, to me then says, well then she must also communicate in subtext, because that's how if you expect everyone else to communicate in subtext, then wouldn't you also,
Right.
In the same way that I expect people to just say what they mean, I also am going to say what I mean. And
Right.
so
See, I don't expect people to say what they mean, but I internally want to be a person who does say what they mean.
yeah, but I also think that some of that people pleasing does come in.
Totally.
And it's not like you're lying, but you're maybe not being as upfront as you would.
Sure.
As you,
No, not another wild card.
pass it.
I'm going to invoke my pass. This says write a song about your partner,
Oh,
30
gosh.
seconds, then sing it aloud. Get into it.
No.
Nope.
Both players.
We're not doing that today.
Although Emma could.
You don't know that. Drawing all bad ones. Oh, no.
Write down a goal for this year. Fold and exchange. Hold each other accountable.
Pass.
Like back to youth group.
Back to youth group, my accountability partner.
What is with all the no more wild
Hey, draw from the
cards?
middle. You stop drawing them
Yeah,
in.
why are you just drawing
they're
from
like
the
all wild.
back?
That's what you discard them in the front, therefore you draw them in the back.
Draw them from wherever
No,
in the middle.
No, that is not how this works. Okay. This one might be good. What do I need to hear right now?
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Oh no.
Emma.
Stop. Why are you holding my elbow?
Do you not want me to
You
hold your
love it.
elbow?
You were touching my weenus.
You love
Remember,
it.
I
See,
never
that
wanted
was
to
the,
say that.
the subtext of
No?
that is that she really loves you holding her elbow.
Yeah, I guess you love this. Is that true? Am I wrong?
No, I just feel like you're about
Does
to
she
say
have
something.
consent?
Do I have consent?
You're already there, so.
Oh, I can remove it.
Okay, just give it to me.
Emma.
What do I need to hear right now?
I think you need to hear that your friends really, really, really love you and would literally do anything for you. I would murder someone for you.
I wouldn't.
I would.
She would.
If you were
I'm like kind of a pacifist.
if you were in trouble, I would bust up some shit to like help you. Okay?
Okay.
And everything's going to be okay. And your friends love you. We won't let anything happen to you. I straight up won't let any shit happen to you. I know you're a pacifist, and we've had this conversation about the zombie apocalypse and how if a zombie was coming towards you, you'd probably just let it eat you. Fuck no, not on my watch. I would kill that zombie, and then I'd kill the next zombie, and I would kill all the zombies for you to make sure you were okay.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what I wanted. I think you need to hear right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like multiple things. Number one would be based on this conversation. I don't want you to worry that I like secretly hate you and I'm not telling you.
I feel like most of my friends secretly hate me, so it's okay.
If I hated you, I would not waste all my time on you.
You're so invested at this point, you kind of have to stick around.
No.
See, and I wish I could say that I wouldn't waste my time on you. I don't know if that's true.
She would.
Yeah.
She would. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I wouldn't, but you know me. I don't know, maybe this is relevant or not, but like I think as your friends are like just raring to do whatever it is you need. And so as soon as you say the word, we're there.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know.
This reminds me of when I was on the world race. We would have this time called feedback time, where we'd give one another feedback about things that we did great or poorly throughout the day. And after each statement, we would hold our hands open and we would go, I received that. Thank you.
Yeah, but
It
I
was
just mean
very
like
culty.
you're a very independent woman, which I admire. I think we all admire that. But if you like, we're not good at assuming what you need or knowing. So as soon as you tell us, we're ready. If you got to move, if you got to sing us a song, if you want to,
If I hypothetically bought a house with a haunted basement that wasn't finished and we finished said basement, you could live in that basement.
Why is it haunted?
if you needed a haunted basement to live in,
Yeah, wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
My lifelong dream of living in a haunted basement.
My lifelong dream of having a haunted basement.
and I recognize that we're not always the best at, or maybe not we, but I'm not always the best at being offering or being readily vocal about what I can do.
Oh, I'm definitely not. I'm
No,
not good at
you
that.
are all the time. You're always offering things.
What are you talking about?
Literally all the time.
When?
But I'm 100% on board with whatever it is you need.
Okay. This has been a lot on me now. We need to pivot to somebody else.
And I was like, are we all going to cry right now? There's chocolate over there.
What does that have to do with crying?
In case we needed a pick-me-up after. Jeez.
Gotcha.
Kelly.
I probably need to hear so many things right now.
She's going to just start sobbing.
You are a boss bitch.
Thank you.
You really are. You are like, I don't know how you do all the things you do, but you do. And when you set your mind to something, you do it and you do it really well. You're like, I'm going to run. And I was like, okay. And then you're like, okay, I'm running like 8 miles now. And I was like, oh, shit. Like,
That is untrue. I have not yet run 8 miles.
That
but
is
thank you.
absolutely true.
It's not.
It's not. It's not
Just
true.
gotta bring it down to reality.
Or like, I'm gonna do a short film, or I'm gonna do a script, or I'm gonna do like whatever. I'm like literally whatever you set your mind to, you do it. So wherever you think you are not, like, it's not true.
I think I was thinking of something similarly in that note, which is that I think that your persistence is going to pay off. And that you are learning and growing so much and becoming more and more of who you want to be. And I think that you're capable and becoming more and more capable every day to fulfill these really big dreams that you have. And I feel like I've seen you become more and more of that just in the past 2 years, even. So, yeah. Especially like working with you.
It's been a real privilege. Thanks.
And also, I love you. And also, I never intend to hurt you.
Me neither.
Probably one of the most devastating things for me to ever hear is that I'm hurting my friends. So that is never my intent to hurt you. And so I want you to know that I don't want to do that. Anyways, Kelly Ann.
I'm just like,
Oh.
I love this game.
I hate it.
So good.
Okay. You just seem so put together, Kellyanne. What the heck can I even say?
Wow. Thank you.
Maybe that's what she needs to hear.
I'm like, I don't feel like it.
I do think that you know yourself really well. And who am I to step in and tell you something that you're not aware of? Because you're incredibly introspective and I think confident in all the right places and like doing the self-work in all the right places. And I don't really see you as a person with a lot of blind spots.
You need to hear that you have nice skin. The best, some might say.
Thank you. Wow.
I know that, which I don't know if you want to include this on there or not, but I know that, like, you've had, I think a lot of times about, like, how you've had all these different, like, health issues with your vagina, with your chronic pain in your back, and, like, all sorts of digestive things. And, like, I think about those things and am, like, amazed because you don't show the on the outside. Like, I think that's some of what Kelly is getting is, like, you feel very put together, or, like, you're self-aware, is, like, knowing, like, because I know what it's like to deal with chronic pain and, like, what it's like to have constant health issues and to feel how frustrating and, like, little that can feel. Like, you feel little in it. And I just want you to know that, like, you're so strong to be doing those things. Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other things? Or are we done with this question?
I'm great keeping that in, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how much you wanted to talk
keeping that
about
in?
your health issues or anything like that.
But that means a lot because I don't want to, I don't want to be the, oh, I can't do, or, oh, I can't eat, or that, I don't want to be the, oh, I can't girl, basically. And so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though a lot of people are that person and it's super valid, but yeah. No, thank you. I'm just like, it's fine. I'm just gonna, hunkle
your uncle.
I'm just gonna hunker down and finish my book and hopefully publish it before I'm 30. And then I won't need to work with it for anyone.
There you go.
And then I just work for myself.
That's actually a good one that you just brought up. You need to write your book.
Yeah.
That's what you need to hear. Write your book.
I know.
Seriously.
I know.
Like, there's people who really, really desperately need the content that you have.
Thank you.
To put on a page.
It means a lot. I think I feel really inadequate a lot of the time when it comes to writing.
Oh my gosh, you're so talented.
Thanks. It's just like growing up with a learning disability is really is like a mind fuck.
Yeah.
So that means a lot.
I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
Same. We'll read all your drafts.
Yeah. All 20 of them.
Yeah.
So get ready.
I've been told I'm good at editing.
You are. It's true. You just are the queen of commas.
All right, guys. Let's take a pause. And if you guys are enjoying this content, let us know. As we just be vulnerable on camera / on microphone.
Yeah.
We hope that you like it and that this wasn't just boring to you. Yeah. We are happy to, open up our hearts and souls to you, I guess. So, what is a lesson you will take away from our conversation?
I was thinking about this, actually. And the thing that makes something like this work, whether it be our friendships, the podcast, being able to sit down and play this game, the types of conversations we have, whatever, you fill in the blank, is that we all genuinely care for each other, and we like literally, Kelly, you saying like, I never want to like hurt your feelings, or Emma, I never want to hurt your feelings. We all never want to hurt each other's feelings. And I think that's what makes things like this work. We genuinely care for each other, and we're humble and willing to hear what each other has to say. And so I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind anytime any like conflict comes up. Not that we have conflict necessarily, but like anytime anything comes up that feels internally through my own experience or past or whatever, scary, just to remember this experience of like, actually, like, my friends love me, I love them, they care about me, they don't want to hurt my feelings, I don't want to hurt their feelings, therefore I can approach this and feel safe. Relational equity.
That's a great takeaway. I think one of the things that I will take away is I feel like this conversation has been a good reminder to me to consider more carefully the way I say things and how they're perceived. And is also a reminder to me to speak up when I see like the good things in you guys, because I often forget to like compliment my friends. And so I feel like doing this forces me to actually say the things that I often think, but don't necessarily vocalize in terms of like what, like of how highly I think of you guys. So those are some things. Oh, and that I need more clothes.
I can help you. It's okay.
I do not.
I think that I have a willingness to absorb a lot of crap, I guess. And not being outspoken and clear about that can be harmful to me, of course, but also just to people around me. And so when I don't know, it didn't occur to me that like my self-destructive tendencies could cause you guys to be concerned or worried or frustrated, or to feel like that reflects on me as a lack of authenticity. And I think ultimately I have to make decisions that are best for me or whatever, but like sometimes hearing how other people perceive them can help get an outside view of what it really looks like in my life and how that might really be affecting me and the people around me when I don't have good boundaries.
I feel like so much of that also has to do with, though, like, we are taking our own, biases and experiences into that as well. So, like, this is a boundary or a line that I often have trouble straddling, which is, like, the line between, like, catering towards people and making sure that they understand something, but also recognizing that at the end of the day, it's not my responsibility to make sure that they're perceiving everything that I'm doing perfectly. It's not my responsibility to make sure that, like, someone thinks XYZ about me, because people at the end of the day are going to make assumptions no matter what. And even though I, being someone who proclaims that I try to avoid making assumptions, still make assumptions, And so I think that it's an interesting line to try to walk between, like, catering to people and to, like, what they need in terms of communication, or what they need in terms of how they will interpret something versus how you need to communicate something and how you would interpret something. It's all part of interacting with humans.
Ah, the joy. The joy of interacting with other humans.
Oh man, this freaking game.
I love it. So, do we feel ready for the final card?
Sure.
So, what we're going to do is the final card, which you do at the end of any We're Not Really Strangers game. I would refer it more to a session, like a We're Not Really Strangers session is
Therapy.
It literally is.
Straining.
You always do this final card, and it is that each player writes a message to the other, fold and exchange, open once only you have parted. So we're going to do that off camera because that's boring, but we will do it for sure. And thank you guys for playing this with me. I know that it feels really vulnerable. We might need some wine, some chocolate, a cry afterwards. I have all three of those things. I have a cry, chocolate, and
Can you do
wine.
the cry for me and then I'll do the others?
Maybe we could work that out. So
But it'll like feel like I just cried.
it will feel, maybe we'll see. But I think the point of all this is I love you both. And it feels, even though it can feel like a vulnerable emotional hangover, it always feels really special to get to sit down and share my heart with both of you. And for you in turn to share your heart with me. So.
Yeah. Love you too.
Love you.
Love you.
Both. Love you all.
I would also encourage, I think that one thing that's really great about this game that I hate is that it does force you to be vulnerable and actually reminds me of some of the sort of practices that I've gotten from other settings that are trying to build intimacy with people. And this is like sort of a way to do it that's a little bit structured, but that like allows you to kind of have an excuse to be vulnerable and to also like give people, you know, sort of feedback and to like express maybe underlying feelings or all sorts of things. And I think that women specifically often, we've talked some on the podcast about the culture of sort of competition among women and of feeling like there's not like where it's hard to like have real friendships at times because there's this idea that like if one woman succeeds, then I don't get to succeed as a woman. And I think that things like this are a way for women to instead be supportive of one another and to like build one another up and be like partners and allies with one another. And I mean, I think it also could be very valuable for men who have often been given the messaging that they cannot be emotional or vulnerable, etc. I think I often see, which obviously this is a generalization, men who are more emotionally closed off and women who are more emotionally like insincere, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that this is a great opportunity to dig deeper and to maybe even come curious and leave connected.
Which, speaking of women, this game was actually created and the company was founded by a young woman. I think she was quite young when she created this.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's really special. For sure, check out their website. I mean, they have all kinds of packages, collaborations. We actually did the couples version, I think.
Just now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Or actually, no, wait.
We're a throuple.
We're a throuple. Actually, I think I might have lied because there's now a couples edition, and this is the We're Not Really Strangers, like classic one.
Okay.
So, but they have tons of different versions. They've got a self-reflection version. They did a collaboration with Red Table Talks. I mean, they've got a lot of cool stuff coming out. So check it out. It's cheap. Like a deck of their cards is like $12 or something. Speaking of checking them out, you should check us out.
Give us
in
a
more
check.
places. We are on Audible. We are on YouTube. We are on freaking Amazon Podcasts or whatever that is. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Stitcher. We're on all the fringe ones you've probably never heard of. We're everywhere. So
We
if
are
you
everywhere.
aren't following us, please do. Give us a review. It really helps us out. We are also on TikTok and, of course, Instagram. So
Yes.
make sure you're following us on Instagram to help contribute to the conversation. We are always looking for new ideas, posting fun things, and also you can get a preview of any episode the day before it airs. So,
Heck yeah. For you, Instagram fans.
just for you, just for the gram. So, anyways, I think that's all we have to say today. Ladies,
If we haven't said enough, yes.
I love you both. And
Love
we're
you
all
too.
still friends.
I love you both as well.
And so, yeah. With all that to say, we're going to say bye.
Bye.
Bye.